Good morning, New Zealand. It's Friday morning. The cough has gone. The voice is coming back. So things are getting better in the McCoskrie household. Anyway, welcome to Daybreak. It is July the 4th. So if there are any Americans watching, happy July the 4th. Happy Independence Day. There we go. Wait for the fireworks tonight. I'm sure they'll be having a great celebration in the US. All right, just starting with a slight, and I said my cough is gone, but I bet halfway through I'm going to suddenly break into a coughing fit. But anyway, just on a sad note, and obviously this is close to home for us because a Liverpool player was tragically killed in an accident in Portugal, or actually it might have been in Spain, just crossed, was heading to England, was driving to the UK because he'd been told by doctors not to fly. Diogo Jota, who is a Portuguese international, plays alongside Ronaldo, and he's a striker for Liverpool. Very good player. I saw him in action at Anfield 18 months ago when we went to a game, and he was tragically killed in an accident, had just got married, well, it looks like by the photo, finally married to his childhood sweetheart just 2 weeks ago. So it is just a really tragic case, and you'll probably see lots of reports of that in the media today. The top sports star just tragically killed. I think he was 28 or something like that, so just way too young. So, thoughts and prayers just for the family and the tragedy of that. Closer to home, some of the news items that people are talking about, and time for us to give a bit of a slant on it. Look, the feedback on the school lunches, obviously the problem has been solved, hasn't it? I was reading that complaints to the Ministry of Education have fallen by 92% since March. It's now July. The program delivery time now sits at 98% reliability, which is pretty impressive. And there were lots of complaints, but they sort of went till about February the 27th when maybe the media got sick of talking about it, and so people stopped complaining about it. Anyway, look, this was the heading in the Herald, a look at the Term 3 school lunches with 73% positive feedback. I was calling out, I thought that the heading was deliberately misleading because most people will just glance at that and think, oh, the school lunches have got 73% positive feedback. In fact, the 73% refers to some new meals that the collective is cooking up for schools, and they tested them on kids. And 73% of the kids liked the proposed new meals, which is probably about the same percentage as my kids would have got for any new meal that we'd had at dinner. You know, kids don't always like food, no matter how good or nutritious it is. In fact, the more nutritious it is, probably the less they like it. But anyway, there was good feedback on the new meals. But the fact of the matter is the program is working. In fact, the program is working so well, this was the take by Hawke's Bay today. They were concerned that the pig wasn't getting as much leftovers because the lunches had improved so much. I mean, that's kind of like a really negative take on a really positive outcome, isn't it? The focus is totally on the pig. But I think that's where the media are at on this issue. They didn't like David Seymour. They didn't like the program. And so they just went after it. And it's just a constant negative slant, which may be the reason that this is happening. There's a whole lot of newspapers shutting down. Stuff are shutting down their regional newspapers. Things like Cambridge Edition, Fielding, Rangatiki Herald, Franklin County News, Hutt News, Nelson Tasman Leader, Northern Outlook. But in better news, the Manukau Papakura Courier is being shut down. Great. It fills my letterbox every week. I hate it. It goes straight to the bin. I've never read it. And so they're not wasting trees on it anymore. So I would say, great. I'm sorry for the jobs that have been lost, but hopefully there'll be opportunities in the digital field. But I am not sorry to see all these regional newspapers go. What's a regional newspaper like in your area? Because I tell you what, it used to be the South Auckland Courier, it then became the Manukau Papakura Courier, very left-leaning, and it just either went straight to the bin or it helped stoke the fire. So anyway, that's sort of what is happening. Now, it's not only us calling the media to account. Some of the politicians don't like the media, but interestingly, it's the left-wing ones. And look, it's Chris Hipkins, leader of the Labour Party. I think he lost his rag, actually. I think he actually lacked credibility, the criticism he was making. Look, just to give you the lead-in, these are the ram raid offences. And as you can see there was this massive peak just before Labour got booted out of office. Remember that period where every morning you woke up and there was a ram raid? And then National came in, the adults got back in charge, and the rate has been plummeting. And apparently, according to Chris Hipkins, it's not because of policing, it's because the media aren't reporting them anymore, but only the right-wing media. Have a listen.
Let me quickly ask you there, we don't ever hear of ram raids anymore. Is that because of the system that you put in place, or is it since the coalition's come in?
No, it's because your Tory owners at NZME have just decided not to put it on the front page anymore. It's still happening. It's just NZME have decided that it's not in the government's best interests, and they do the National Party's singing for them, so they're not covering it as much anymore.
Oh, God.
Okay, so the only problem with that is that also Radio New Zealand, which is not NZME owned and is definitely not right-wing Tory, also were reporting it. So Chris Hipkins completely lost credibility on that issue. To blame the media for not reporting when we've all noticed that less and less ram raids are happening. You know what? Even if the media weren't reporting them, social media would be. Because what happens every time there's a ram raid? We get live footage from a phone and we see it uploaded and we immediately know it's happening. So Chris Hipkins is just in fairyland when it comes to this issue, and it does his credibility no good by those types of attacks. If you're going to attack the media, at least do it on a credible, substantive issue that, can be proven. Anyway, good old Winston, he has introduced a bill to ban woke flags from government buildings. Now, what I found most fascinating about this is that nobody that I could check, last time I checked, in the mainstream media has reported this. No, it's been left to good colleague Chris Lynch, who's got chrislynchmedia.com. And he's reported it. And so a few people have picked it up. But basically, the bill is going to ban woke flags, and the woke flags tend to be the LGBT, BLM, the divisive flags generally, the Palestinian flag, Hamas, and basically those cannot go in government buildings, public places, in other words, council-owned, and also schools. And so my question is, is it going to ban this type of virtue signalling by councils? Is it going to ban this type of virtue signalling by Kiwibank, for example? What about the rainbow crossings, which are paid for by ratepayers? And is Parliament going to get rid of its rainbow room? With all these flags, they're having to extend the room because of the number of flags. But you can see there, it's not just rainbow flags there. If you look carefully, that third flag from the right, that is definitely not just a rainbow or LGBT flag. Interestingly, I noticed just in the news this morning overseas is that the Trump admin is targeting rainbow crossings. Roads are for safety, not political messages. Well said. Truancy rates. Well, on this particular issue, unlike the school lunches, the Radio New Zealand have tried to give this a positive approach. And so they say, well, school attendance rate is at 71%. I would say almost 30% of our kids are wagging. That would have been my headline. And it's a shocking statistic. And somebody on Political Playback last night suggested we should actually survey the kids who aren't attending and find out why. Is it because they hate school, they're sick of being indoctrinated, or is it because they just tell their parents they're not going and their parents basically are under the illusion that they can't tell their kids what to do anymore, which is quite possible. Thank you, Sue Bradford. Or is it, what is the reason they're not making it to school? Is it just parents are useless? And we need, as Simon O'Connor referred to, the stick and the carrot. We need the stick of fines maybe to get kids to school. So that one is going to continue. Look, there's on the trans issue, in the United States. I've been talking about the cultural tipping point, and that is the issue. That is the theme of the Forum on the Family this year. Bravery in the cultural tipping point. I believe there's a cultural tipping point happening. And there's some recent examples that Bernard Lane, who's a very good researcher that I follow, wrote about. And basically, it's about 3 major US media outlets all allowing gender critical commentary, which, of course, a couple of years ago, if you had criticized the transgender or had said only women can get pregnant, you would have been cancelled from Facebook and from Twitter and by the media. But things have changed so much that the mainstream media are actually allowing that conversation to happen. And there was 3 articles. The first was in the New York Times, How the Gay Rights Movement Radicalized and Lost Its Way. It's by Andrew Sullivan, who is a well-known LGBT activist, but he said when they pushed past same-sex marriage and went to gender confusion, dudes and women's sports, transing the kids, chemicalization, castration of kids and confusion, they lost their way. Then there was an article in the Washington Post, once again, a left-wing newspaper. And you might remember that a couple of weeks ago, the Trump administration released a report on puberty blockers and pediatric gender medicine, basically, and said it was basically like the Cass report in the UK. Said we shouldn't be doing it. We need to slow this whole thing up. And there's actually the Washington Post published a confessional article by a East Coast liberal philosopher, Alex Byrne, and he was one of the anonymous authors of this report. So not exactly your Trump-loving, reporter or author on this report. And then there was an article in the Atlantic, and journalist Helen Lewis, well, she wrote about some uncomfortable truths entitled The Liberal Misinformation Bubble About Youth Gender Medicine, How the Left Ended Up Disbelieving the Science. So 3 articles all in a row. And that's the cultural tipping point, is that even the mainstream media now are questioning the narrative. And part of the problem is that the LGBT activists have pushed too far, and they've made another fatal error because they've pushed this issue to the point where the US Supreme Court is now taking up a transgender athlete case. I'm not a gambling man, but I would lay money that the US Supreme Court is going to come down on the side of biology based on their recent decisions. And so that's going to solve this whole issue. Interestingly, it's still happening. Let me just show you a recent cycling competition in a US state. I've forgotten which state it is actually, but see if you can spot the dude. Yes, the winner definitely wasn't a female. Can you figure out which one is the dude? Yeah, pretty easy. Now, once again, cultural tipping point. Remember UPenn? They were the ones that allowed Leah Thomas, the dude, to swim against the girls. And Riley Gaines is shown in that photo on the right there. UPenn is now going to apologise. They've agreed to right the wrongs, restore records to the rightful female athletes, and issue an apology. It's a cultural tipping point, team, and it can't come fast enough. One more example, Jaguar. Jaguar decided to go woke. They did this advertisement where they didn't actually feature a car. They just featured all these intersectional, bisexual, gender-confused people, models. And guess what? Sales have plunged 97% in Europe. So go woke, go broke. All right, just about out of time. I did that one. What was I up to? So just a quick summary for McBlog. I did say US Conservatives are on a roll. And actually related to that, Simon O'Connor has also done a summary of the recent US Supreme Court cases as well, a bit more detail as well. Now, this is what we're doing on Family First. We have realized that some of you love watching stuff, but some of you would prefer to read. And some of you, I've had emails saying, can we just listen if we're driving or if we're walking and we can't look at the screen or we're doing the housework? Yeah, like a trad wife. Yes, you can listen as well. And so this is our new campaign. Watch, read, and listen. It's our content, but your convenience as to how you consume it. And you can see that all on our website, familyfirst.nz. And so we are writing a bit more commentary and also summaries of these shows. We're actually putting the summaries of these shows on the website page so that maybe you don't have time to watch the whole thing, but you can see all the topics that we have covered. So make sure you do that and check us out on Spotify as well. Right, I am out of time. Adrian says, thanks, Bob, for your very important reporting in these crazy and trying times. I mean, really, we're just interpreting some of the news and telling you some of the news that the mainstream media will never show you. DD says, out of time, it's only 7:45. Yeah, look, my brain can only concentrate for so long. Simon O'Connor is far brighter, and he goes far longer than me. Where is it? Catherine says Chris Hipkins has no credibility to start with. Jackie says NZME were tied up with the Wanganui Chronicle, and I gave up on that long time ago. And yeah, there we go. That's from YouTube and just from Facebook. Nigel says early holiday accounts for 71% school attendance on a Friday. You might be right. Long weekend, Friday and Monday. But then again, it goes back to why aren't the parents taking accountability? And are the kids just saying to their parents, well, I don't want to go to school and you can't tell me what to do, which is quite possible. That's a problem with the whole children's rights. Anyway, I've got a Labrador dog here waiting to go for a walk, so that's why I'm out of time. That's it for today. Happy Independence Day to all my US watchers, and you have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday morning at 7:30 with Daybreak, and also Straight Talk on Monday night, which will be another doozy. So have a great day. Stay out of the rain if it's still coming down. It's fine where I am. And have a great weekend. Bye.